The sudden transition from childhood to adulthood that Holden faced in the book was caused by many childhood experiences. One experience he had was dealing with the death of his brother Allie. Losing his brother was a hard part of his childhood, but he also didn't have a good relationship with his parents. Holden's parents neglected him as a child, and he felt alone. The isolation he felt as a result of these horrible events he dealt with early in his childhood forced him to grow up and enter adulthood at a young age. These events are the beginning of his adventure throughout the book as Holden explores a new life in adulthood.
After Allie's death, Holden was sent off to several different boarding schools by his parents. Being sent away from his family so often and basically living on his own forces him to gain some independence. He continually flunks out of school, or drops out even, because he doesn't really care about anyone or anything. To him, schoolwork is unimportant after Allie's death, and he doesn't really have any motivation to succeed in school.
All of these factors pressured Holden into acting older than he really is. Throughout the book, many of us have to realize that Holden is only 16 instead of 26. Although Holden as a whole may seem more mature, we still get to see the 16-year-old side of him throughout the book, whether if it's horsing around or just chatting with Phoebe. But one also has to consider that he's done things that most 16-year-olds have not. Most 16-year-olds don't drink, smoke, or hire prostitutes, and wander around New York aimlessly. Holden does all these things because he has gone through so many hurdles in life that have caused him to transition much quicker than most.
Holden encounters many strange things during his time in New York. He wanders around aimlessly, meeting new people along the way. The first person Holden meets is Sunny. Sunny is a prostitute, and Holden hires her. Holden thinks that he's doing an adult thing by hiring a prostitute, but then he discovers that all he really wants is company and not just sex. Holden then has a discussion with a taxi driver. They talked about ducks. The conversation was really about Holden asking how to grow up. The trip to New York was a realization for Holden that adulthood isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Holden doesn't want to grow up. He views the adult world as dark and depressing. He feels the need to protect the innocence of children. While walking through New York, Holden sees a young boy singing The Catcher in the Rye. Watching this boy makes him happy because he can find innocence even in the midst of the chaotic city. When Holden visits the museum, he recalls taking school trips there. He likes the museum because nothing ever changes except for the people visiting. Now he decides not to enter the museum because he sees himself more as an adult. The last time he was there, he was innocent, and he wants to protect that. When Holden visits Phoebe's school, he sees curse words on the walls. He erases the first, but the second is scratched on the wall. This upsets Holden because it proves to him that he can't erase all the bad things in the world.
The Catcher in the Rye itself represents the misheard lyrics that Holden based his whole philosophy of protecting the innocence off of. Not only that, but the lyrics are also about the loss of innocence, not protecting it. But all that he wants to do is protect the innocence of childhood. However, he fails to realize how impossible that really is. We come full circle with the carousel. The carousel represents childhood. Holden does not ride it, because he has accepted the fact that he is no longer a child and has finished the transition from childhood to adulthood. But he watches his younger sister as she rides it. This makes him really happy because in this moment, she embodies what he perceives to be innocence.